So this is part 4. The link is in the description. We are on page 49 of Maaneh Chacham, Answers to the Wise, by Rabbi Yoel Kahn. This is the first of 2 letters, and this is Saif Yud Zayin, so part 17. Rabbi Kahn says, "Ubihiot she'ani choshesh she'elu shehurgalu b'divrei hevel hanal." So he's talking about the people who are students of the Satmar Rebbe, who believe that there was a miraculous establishment of a state of Israel, but it was done through Satan. It was done through the other side. And he explains that the Shita of the Satmar Rebbe, that the opinion of the Satmar Rebbe was actually not that such a thing happened. And he explains. The Divrei Hevel Hana'al, who are used to saying such worthless words that we talked about before. Shal Yedei Hakamat HaMedina Na'aseh Cherut Ve'Geula, that through the establishment of the state, there was some form of freedom or redemption of the Jewish people. That this was something that was accomplished through the other side and only for a brief time. They wouldn't want to agree to or accept the words that we talked about above. Even though they are obvious things completely. And there's no argument to be had about this at all. So we're going to bring another proof. בספר ויואל משה מאמר 3 שבועות סימן מ"ה. So in the famous magnum opus of the Satmar Rebbe, Yoel Moshe, in the section of the 3 oaths, in chapter Siman 45, and this is what he says. Ha'emet habarur hu, the b'shar inyanim af shahakol hu bahashgacha, that the clear truth is that with any other matter, even though everything is through divine providence, mikol makom amar hakatuv lama'an yivarechecha Hashem Elokecha. It says in the Torah, so that God, the Lord your God will bless you. B'kol ma'aseh yadecha, in all that you do, asher ta'aseh, which you shall do. Shetzarich shelo leshev batel melasot. That means that we should not sit idly by from actually doing things to bring about the blessing. V'chulu. Tzarich la'asot keminhago shel olam. That a person has to conduct himself according to the ways of the world. Ma she'ein ken be'inyanei ha'geula tzarich le'eda she'ach HaKadosh Baruch Hu hu ha'oseh. But regarding anything that has to do with the redemption itself, he has to know that only God is the one who does it. Ve'ein lanu reshut la'asot me'umah, and we have no permission to do anything. Eila teshuvah u'ma'asim tovim, other than repentance and good works. Umesayem sham, and he concludes there, the mikeivan shebeinyanei ha'geula, that since regarding those matters of redemption, ein lanu reshut la'asot me'umah, we do not have permission to do anything. Lachen, כשעושים פעולה לצאת מהגלות, that when someone does an action to try to remove himself from the exile, הווה זה מינות וכפירה גמורה רחמנא ליצלן, that this is minut really means schismatic, kfira means heresy or denial, Gamura completely, God have mercy. Ayen shama ba'arucha, see there at length. V'dvarim elu katav gam b'siman ayin vav, daf tzamach bet, u'b'kama mekomot. And he wrote this in several places, including on page 92. V'l'chora yesh lakshot. And it's possible to ask the bishlema כשאדם עושה בכדי להתפרנס עשיות שמותר לעשותם, that when a person does things in order to earn money to live from those things that are allowed to do, מובן שאין זה עניין של כפירה, this is not some act of heresy, כי כן ציווה לנו הקדוש ברוך הוא שצריך לעשות כמנהגו של עולם, because it is the way that God has commanded us, that we have to live according to the ways of the world. אבל כשאדם עושה דברים האמורים גזלה וכל יוצא בו, but when a person does things which are which are forbidden, like stealing, etc., בכדי להתפרנס, in order to earn money, to live, שדברים אלו אין לנו רשות לעשות, that these are things which we are not allowed to do. מה שונה עשיית דברים אלו מעשיית פעולה לצאת מהגלות? So how is it different that a person would do things which are trying to undo the exile from stealing, for example, in order to earn money? והתירוץ הזה מבאר שם בסוף סימן מ"ד. And he answers this at the end of chapter 44. Na'atak la'ayel saif yud, which we earlier in section 10 of this letter included. The benoga legezel yadua shekadosh baruch hu maniach ba'alei b'chira la'asot. That when it comes to the things like stealing, it's known that God allows people to the free choice to do things like steal. V'chen hu b'chol ha'averot shehema neged retzono yitbarach shemo. Similarly, by any transgression that they are against God's will, may He be exalted in His name. V'af al pi ken habechira chofshit. However, we have free will. Ma she'ein ken inyan hageula v'chayrut min hamalchiyot hu ach biyado shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when it comes to redemption and being free from the subjugation of the kingdoms. This is only something that is in the hands of God himself. May he be blessed. V'hainu, and that is to say, the chiluk bein asiyat pe'ula b'kedei lehishtacher meshibud malchiyut la'asiyat pe'ula asura kamo gezel koyotze bo b'kedei lehitparnes. So the difference between trying to relieve yourself, to free yourself from the oppression or the dominance of the kings, from doing something that is forbidden in order, like stealing, in order to have money to live. Even though both are things that we are not allowed to do. Who? That when a person tries to earn his money through stealing and other forbidden things, like desecrating the Sabbath, and similarly, he's not doing something that is against our faith. Because these are things which God allows us, lets us do. It's not against our belief that it's possible that somebody should actually be able to earn money in a way that is not permitted. It's possible for a person to earn his living through stealing or through other prohibitions. Which is not true when he does something which is meant to relieve him from. There's a link to the Sefer in the description, but here's another link. Where were we? You are very welcome, my dear Satmar friend. He wrote this for Satmar Hasidim specifically. Where were we? מכיוון שבענייני הגאולה אמרה התורה שדברים אלו הם אך בידו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, since it says in the Torah that these things are only in the hands of God himself. ואי אפשר להשיג זה על ידי פעולות אנושיות, that it is impossible to achieve such a thing according to human actions. הרי מי שחושב שיכול להשיג זה על ידי פעולותיו, that someone who imagines that he can actually achieve this through his own actions, הוזה כפירה במה שאמרה התורה שזהו אך בידו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. That when a person imagines that he can bring forth the redemption through his own acts, he is actually denying what is said in the Torah that belongs to God himself. והנה ידוע מה שאמרו רז"ל במסכת פסחים, and it is known what our sages taught in tractate Pesachim, Daf Nun Amud Bet, page 50, side B. Umamar Razal, and the teachings of our sages. Zeh huva lahalacha. This is brought as a actual Jewish law, b'Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Siman Resh Nun Aleph. In the code of Jewish law, the segment Orach Chaim, the ways of the life, in chapter 251. Va'ayen lakaman behemshech hama'amar de'inyanim shehuvo beposkim אי-אפשר לפרשם על דרך הרמז וכיוצא בו והדברים כפשוטם. And see ahead where in continuing his explanation he explains that those things which are brought as by the decisors, by the poskim, like the Shulchan Aruch, it is a person cannot explain them away through hints and things like that, but they are as they are because they are actual Jewish law physically. And this is what he says: Ha'oseh malacha ba'arvei Shabbatot uba'arvei yamim tovim min haminha lamala chulu ubechol makom sheyesh sham nidnud avera. That anybody who does his work right before the Sabbath and the right before the the beginning of our high holidays, after the time of the afternoon prayers, and so forth, and in any place where there is even a thought that it might be sinful, chulu, eino ro'es siman bracha le'olam, that such a person will not see blessings ever. And since these are things which are written in the Torah of truth, it is clear that this is how things are physically in reality. The peulat isur ein marvichim me'uma, that a person cannot gain by doing things which are prohibited. Shahare begamara sham ita, because there in the Talmud it says, ubechol makom sheyesh sham nidnud avera, that in any place where there is a movement, a whiff of transgression, of sin, and how much more so when we're talking about an actual sin. That when we see that people are actually gaining some amount of money through stealing or other forms of sin, Yuvan ze al pi admor hazaken ba'al hatanya b'shulchan aruch shelo. This can be understood according to what the first rabbi of Chabad explained in who wrote the Tanya, wrote in the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Code of Jewish Law, according to the Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, Resh Siman Resh Nun Aleph, at the beginning of chapter 251, La'inyan Asiyat Malacha Be'erev Shabbat, regarding doing work on Friday afternoons, the Mizeh Muvan Gam Benoga L'Shar Isurim, that from this a person can understand what occurs regarding any other transgression. V'zilla shono, and this is what he says: Shema shemarviach ba mafsid keneged zeh makom acher. that where a person earns in this manner, it is going to be removed from him in a different manner. The ma shenidme lo shal yedei asiyat ha'isur hu marviach ma'ot, that when a person imagines that through a sinful act he's actually earning money, zehu rak lefi sha'a kala, this is for a few moments, ki baror she'achar kach yafsid keneged zeh mekom acher, that obviously he's going to lose out in a different manner. V'zeh yechol lihyot b'shnei ofanim, and this can be happen in two manners. Achad, one, the ofen the shlilat harevach. This can be through the losing of the profit that he had. Hainu shelo yarviach me'eza pe'ula muteret, that he's not going to earn money from something that is allowed to him. Shebe'im lo haya lo harevach ma'isur haya marviach me'ota pe'ula hamuteret, that if he had not done the transgression, he would have earned the money through a permitted way. And since he got the money from something that that is prohibited, lo schum zeh, that it was taken away from him this amount, shelo yarviach kol kach mehapa'ula hamuteret, that he shouldn't be able to earn so much from that which is permissible. Shnai, or second, the ofen the hefsed mamash, that he could actually have some sort of damage. She'ira etzelo geneva, that someone will steal from him, o srefa, or there will be a fire, or koyotzebo, and similar things. V'yafsid oto haschum sheherviach meha'isur, that he is going to lose out on the amount of money that he earned from that which is prohibited. Ubizichroni shera'iti besfarim, and I remember that I have seen in books, sheichol lihyot be'ofen garua yoter rachman al atzlan, that it's possible that this could be in a manner that is even worse. The merciful should be with us. The al yedei sheherviach meha isur, that since he earned from something that is prohibited, ze yigrom le'ezeh choli rachman al atzlan, that he should come to some sort of sickness, God have mercy. Etzlo or etzel b'nei beto, either for him or for the people in his household. V'ha'ma'ot sheherviach yalchu avur refuot, and all the money that he earned will be spent in order to heal them. Ve'im tomar mikevan shekadosh baruch hu ein rotzeh sheyarvichu al yedei asiyat isur, that since God does not want us to benefit from doing things which are prohibited, lama asa chen shebetchila yarvichu al yedei asiyat ha'isur v'achar kach yihyeh hefsed keneged zeh. Why would he make it so that in the beginning you would be able to gain money from doing something that is prohibited, and afterwards there would be a loss opposite to it, mimakom acher, from a different place. V'areh haya yechol la'asot she'lechatchila lo yarvichu al yedei ha'isur. So God could have made it so that from the very beginning a person would not earn any money from stealing or working on the Sabbath. Hinei ha'teshuvah al zeh hi teshuvah peshuta. The answer to this is a simple answer. Shebe'im hayachen, that if it was so, שמלכתחילה לא היו מרוויחים על ידי עשיית איסור, that a person would never be able to earn any money from doing something that is prohibited. לא היה אז עניין הבחירה, therefore there would be no such thing as free will. ולכן עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא שיוכלו להרוויח לזמן קצר, and therefore God made it possible that they would be able to earn for a short time. גם על ידי עשיית איסור, also through doing something that is prohibited, בכדי שתהיה הבחירה, so that we would be able to have free will. However, זה עצמו שמרוויחים על ידי איסור לזמן קצר, that we are able to earn money through doing something prohibited for a small time. אין זה מספיק עדיין שיהיה לאדם הבחירה חופשית. That itself is not enough so that a person should have free will. כי אם האדם היה רואה בעיני בשר שהרווח שעל ידי, that if a person were able to see through fleshly eyes that anything that he does where he earns through something that is prohibited, ha'isur, hu rak lezman katzer, that's only for a small time, v'achar kach hu mafsid keneged zeh me'makom acher, and he sees that he would lose out an equivalent amount from a different way. Gam az lo haya oseh ha'isur b'shum ofen, there would be no way that a person would do something that is prohibited. De'eze peti ya'aseh malacha asura כשהוא רואה במוחש שאחר כך יגנבו אצלו המעות שירוויח. So, because what kind of fool would do work that is prohibited when he sees in a real way through his senses that afterwards that it would be stolen from him, the money that he had earned. ועד אחד כמה וכמה שלא יסכים בשום אופן להסתחרר לזמן קצר שמזה יבוא לידי חולי רחמן ליצלן, and how much more so he would never agree to do any sort of work to earn money for a little while if he knows that this would bring him to being sick. God have mercy. והמעות ילכו עבור רפואות, and the money would be spent on healing. ולכן עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא שיוכל להיות נדמה לאדם שהרוויח על ידי האיסור. Therefore God made it possible that a person would imagine that he has benefited from that which is prohibited. hu revach amiti, that it's a true amount that he earned. Dama shachar kach mafsid b'makom acher, that that which he afterwards loses out on something from somewhere else. Hine hefsed ze eino nikar kol kach le'enei basar, that this loss is not recognized so much in the fleshly world through our fleshly eyes. The kol zehu nisayon la'adam she'akadosh baruch hu menaseh oto, that all of this is a test which God is testing us. Da'agam shelefi sha'ah hu marviach be'emet, that he's actually earning something for a small amount of time, truly. V'gam ha'hefsed sha'yihyeh lo achar kach eino ro'eh, and he doesn't see that how he's losing out afterwards. Mikol makom ya'amod b'nisayon, he should still be able to stand the test and understand that he should not, that everything comes from God, and there is no gain in doing that which is prohibited. V'kol zehu pashut u'barur l'chol Yehudi ma'amin ba'akadosh baruch hu v'torato. And this is something that is clear and set forth to every Jew who believes in God, the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Torah. And from all of this, there's a clear proof the ma shekatuv v'yol Moshe, that what is written in the Vayol Moshe, Sof Siman Mem Dalet, at the end of chapter 94, that shedavka begezel v'shar averot HaKadosh Baruch Hu maniach ba'alei bechira la'asot, that it is specifically in stealing and the other transgressions that the Blessed One, the Holy One, blessed be He, allows people with free choice to do. Ma she'ein ken in inyan hageula v'hacherut min hamalchiyot, which is not true when it comes to the redemption and freedom from the kingdoms. Hu ach biyado shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that this is something that is purely in the hands of God Himself. Kavanat to bezeh, his intention in this, the inyan hacherut I efshar lahasik, that when we are talking about an aspect of freedom, this is not possible to achieve al yedei pa'ula enushit afilu lefi sha'a kala, that such a thing is not possible for us to reach, even through human actions, even for a small moment. The lefi divrei hatipshim hanal, that according to these fools that we spoke about, shal yedei pa'ula enushit na'aseh cherut, that through the work of human beings there was some sort of freedom. V'zen imshach kavar lamet hey shana, and this has been for 35 years. This was when he wrote it. Now it's been even further. Ela shachar kach titbatel hacherut, but afterwards this freedom shall be taken away. Hare ein shum chiluk klal bein asiyat pe'ula be'inyan cherut. They are explaining in such a way that there is no difference between doing things in order to gain cherut, freedom, legezel v'shar averot, to stealing and other types of transgressions, of sins. Uma ma shemitratzim, the hacherut shenasta al yedei hakamat hamedina hi mitzad sitra achra, and that which they say that the freedom that was comes from having and establishing a state comes from the other side. Hainu the nosaf lezeh shacherut hi rak lezman katzer. That is added to this, that there would be a freedom for a short time, v'achar kach titvatel, and afterwards it's going to be nullified. Hine gam cherut zu shehi rak lefi sha'ah hi mitzad sitra achra, that this freedom that is even for a small time comes from the other side. Hu tirutz shel hevel, this is a vain, a worthless answer. Shahare gam revach hamaot shal yedei asiyat isur hu bevadai mitzad sitra achra, that when we talk about any sort of gain that a person has of money from stealing, for example, or any other transgression, obviously it comes from the other side. Shahare Achad inyan shel isur hu hefech hakedusha, because one, doing something that is forbidden is against that which is holy. Shnayim, and second, ma shemarvichim lefi sha'ah al yedei asiyat isur hu inyan shel nisayon kana, that the fact that a person is earning from a transgression, it is a test, like we explained. Ve'im ken muvan shezehu inyan shel sitra achra, and therefore we could understand that this is something from the other side. ומכיוון דשני עניינים אלו, אחד, שזה רק לשעה קלה, and since these two things, one, that this is for a short time, שניים, two, שגם מה שישנו בשעה קלה הוא מצד הסטרא אחרא, that what he has for this short time comes from the other side. הם גם בנוגע לרווח המעות שעל ידי עשיית איסור שאות הרווח נשפע מצד הסטרא אחרא. These are regarding the money that he gets through doing something that is forbidden, that amount that he earned comes from the other side. Vehu rak l'sha'a kala, and it's only for a short time. Harei muvan, you can understand the ma shemavuar b'divrei Chazal the inyan ha'geula v'ha'cherut eino kamo sha'ar inyanim. That this, which is explained by the sages, that those things which have to do with the redemption and freedom, they're not like other things. Inyanei parnasa u'yotzebo, and like earning a person's wages and anything like it. Ki'im hu legamre rak biyado shel hakadosh baruch hu. That this is something which comes only completely through the hands of God. Hakavana bazeh, what it is explaining. The inyan hacherut hu devar she'i yashar lihyot klal al yedei pe'ula enoshit. That regarding freedom, liberty, this is something that cannot be done at all through human endeavor. Gam lo be'ofen shezeh yihye mitzad hasitra achra, even through a way that comes from the other side. Va'afilu lo lefi sha'a kala, and not even for a short amount of time. Ve'elu hatipshim she'omrim she'al yedei pe'ula enoshit, that these fools who say that through human endeavor the hakamat hamedina na'asa cherut was accomplished some sort of liberty, ela shezehu mitzad hasitra achra v'rak lezman katzer, that this came through the other side and is only for a short time. Ve'oto hazman katzer nimshach lamed hei shana, and this time has passed for 35 years. Nitpasu l'rayon hakfira shel tzionut rachman al. They have grabbed onto these heretical ideas of the Zionists, of Zionism. God have mercy on our, the merciful should listen to our prayers. Ki lefi da'atam nimtza de'inyan ha'ge'ula v'cherut hu kamo inyanei parnasa huyotze bo, and that when we are dealing with the redemption and liberty, it is like other things, like earning money, and similarly, she'afshar la'asig al yedei pe'ula enushit, that these are things which can be reached, can be gotten through human endeavor. Saif Yud Chet, chapter 18. Ah ha'emet yored arko, but the truth shows its way. Lama she'ita b'divrei Razal, that what is in the words of our sages, the inyan ha'geula v'ha'cherut hu ach biyado shel hakadosh baruch hu, that anything that has to do with the redemption and liberty, it is only in the hands of the Holy One, blessed be He. Which is explained at length in the book Yoel Moshe of the Satmar Rebbe. אין זה שום שייכות כלל וכלל לממשלה כזו של המדינה. This is not anything that has anything to do with this in any way with this government, like the state. לפי שהממשלה זו היא משובדת תחת האומות, ואין כאן מלכתחילה מציאות של חירות. Because this is a country that is under the dominion of the nations, and it has no actual particle of liberty in it. V'hainu, that's to say, the Masha Amru Razal, the Inyan HaCherut Hu Ach Biyado Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That what the sages said, that liberty is only in the hands of God Himself. Dibru Ze Be'inyan Cherut Meshibut HaMalchiyut, that they explained that this is a liberty from being under the subjugation of the kingdoms. And that liberty belongs completely in the hands of God Himself. That the Holy One, blessed be He, will redeem us soon from being subjugated under the kingdoms, al yedei Mashiach tzidkenu, through the hands of our righteous Redeemer, the Messiah. V'davar zeh ei efshar lihyot b'shum ofen lifnei biat HaMashiach. And such a thing is impossible to happen before the coming of the Messiah. Aval metziut shel medina shetachat shibut hamumot. But the truth of this state is that it is under the dominion of the nations, eina matziut shel cherut klal, that it has no vestige of liberty at all. Vehu oto hadavar mamash kamo shahaya va'ad arba artzot, and it is exactly like the Council of the Four Lands. You can look up in Jewish history, the Council of the Four Lands was a government that was set up by the Four Lands to allow the Jews to govern themselves under the kingdom of, I think it was Austria and Hungary and Poland and whatever the Four Lands were. The Hagam Shahaya Koach Lahava'at Lataken Kama Takanot, that even though this council had the ability to make many laws, and similarly to this, that even though there was this council, this was not a power within the hands of the Jews. Nobody imagined that through having this established this Council of Four Lands, that this was somehow a redemption or liberty, that even after the council, that they were still under the dominion and humbled by the rulership of the kingdoms of the Four Lands. And this is something that we clearly see regarding the governing of the state. The מכיוון שכמעט בכל עניין ועניין מוכרחת הממשלה להתחשב עם ממשלת ארצות הברית ועוד מלכות, that with pretty much every single matter that is important. They are forced to consult with the king, the government of the United States and other governments. V'hem malchiyot ha'omot, and these are the governments of the nations. Hakov'im rubam kekulam shel inyanei hamedina, that they set most, if not all, pretty much all the matters of the kingdom, of the state. Va'ad shebenoga lekama inyanim ein lahem lemamshelet hamedina afilu koach zeh shehaya levad arba aratzot. That we see that in many matters they don't even, this state doesn't have even the capacity that belonged to the Council of the Four Lands. Harei ein ze metziut shel chirut klal. This is not liberty in any manner. Saif miyot yud-tet. Va'al tashiveni, and don't answer me the lifei hanal, that according to this that we just said, she'ein b'memshala zu shum geula v'cherut klal, that through this government there isn't any sort of redemption or liberty at all. What is this Rashi Tevot? Mahu inyan hamilchama shel gedolei Israel neged rayon hatzianut. So then why was there a war by the great sages of Israel, our teachers, against this idea of Zionism, the lekichat geula lifnei biat hamashiach, that they would snatch up the redemption before the coming of the Messiah. V'harei ein b'mamshala shelahem shum cherut v'geula klal. They didn't. That look, there isn't any sort of liberty or redemption at all. So what's the problem? Kikavar biarnu la'al, because we explained earlier, Saif Teitelbaum in section 15, the kavanat hatzionut ba'asiyat hamedina hayta lifol al yedei zechirut v'geula, because the intent of the Zionists was that through the creation of a state, that there would be an action that would result in liberty and redemption. Lahakim mamshala kazu she'eina meshubedet tachat ha'umot, because they wished to establish a state that was independent, that wasn't under the dominion of the nations. V'lehishtacher ol galuyot, and to be freed from the yoke of the exile, v'shibut malchiot, and the subjugation of the kingdoms. V'asu ta'amula bein achenu bnei Israel, and they made, fights between our brothers, the children of Israel, shagam davar kezeh, cherut meshibut lamalchiyut, that also this thing, liberty from the subjugation of the kingdoms, efshar lahasig al yedei pa'ula enoshit beyadayim, that it was something that could be achieved through the hand, through the work of human beings with their hands. Ve'ein tzarich al zeh leviat hamashiach, and we didn't need to wait until the coming of the Messiah. וגם לאחרי שנעשתה המדינה וכבר רואים בפועל, and even after they got their state, and we see clearly במשך של ל"ה שנים, through 35 years, and even now, שלאחרי כל הפעולות שעשו לא השיגו שום עניין של חירות. We see that after all of the work that they have done, they have not actually achieved any sort of liberty, meshibut malchiyut, from the dominion of the kingdoms. Afilu b'mektzat t'mektzat, even a little tiny bit of a tiny bit. The al kol tzar v'tzar tzrichim hem la'asot kefi retzon mamlechet artzot habrit. That any time there's any problem or and many problems, they have to do according to the wish of the king, the government of the United States, or Shar HaMeluchot, or other kingdoms. Ve'ein lahem shum de'at klal, and they don't have any idea whatsoever. Va'ad shebenoga lekama v'kama inyanim, that when it comes to many different aspects, ein lahem afilu de'at kamo shahaya levad arba artzot, that they have no opinion, that they don't have an ability to affect what happens, even as much as existed in the Council of the Four Lands, kiyadua mufursa, like is known and has been publicized. Ve'ein kan hamakom la'arich al derech zeh b'partiyut, and I don't have to explain here at length through details. Hine hachoshech hu gadol kol kach, that the darkness is so great. The gam la'acharei shero'im bepoel b'meshech lamed hei shanim, that they see in matter of fact for 35 years and now even more, she'ein ze shum cherut klal, that there has not been any sort of liberty. Mikol makom hem rotzim la'atot et atzmam la'atot et kol Israel. They wish to cause themselves to err and to cause all of the children of Israel to err. Shal yedei hamedina na'asa cherut meshibut malchiyut, that through the establishment of this state was achieved at liberty from the subjugation of the kingdoms. V'zehu gam ma shekorim et hamedina b'shem atzma'ut, and this that they imagine, that they call this state independent. Shekavanatam b'zeh hi la'atot shema'at hakamat hamedina me'et hakamat hamedina, that they want to make people mistake that since the time of the establishment of this state, na'asu na'atzma'im, they have been made independent. Zelbständig. Okay, my Yiddish is not very good. Ve'einam meshubadim tachat ha'umot, and they are not subjugated under the hands of the nations. Hefech ha'emet hanira lechol mi she'eino rotze lahatot et atzmo. It is against that which can be true, seen easily by anyone who does not want to cause himself to err. Sha'amedina eina atzma'it klal v'klal, that this nation is not independent at all in any way. Vehi meshubedet betachlit lamalchiyut ha'omot, and that it is subjugated, is under the control completely of the kingdoms of the nations. Umitzad godel hachoshech hasorer be'ikveta the meshicha, and from the greatness of that of the darkness which rules over the times, the birth pangs of the Messiah. Hine amula shel hatzionim, this labor of the Zionists, שהמדינה היא עניין של עצמאות, that this government, this state, is some sort of independence. ועניין של חירות משיבוד מלכות, and it has liberty from the subjugation of the kingdoms. פעלה בעוונותינו הרבים, it has worked with our great sins. גם על הרבה יהודים שומרי תורה ומצוות, that it is even upon many Jews who keep the Torah and the mitzvot. שאומרים בכל יום אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח, that they say every single day, I believe in the coming of I believe with perfect faith in the coming of the Messiah. שגם הם נתפסו לרעיון זה, that they've also been caught up in this idea. אלא שאומרים שהחירות והגאולה שנעשה על ידי הקמת המדינה, that but they say that this liberty and redemption that was made through establishing this state, לפני ביאת המשיח, before the coming of the Messiah, אינו עדיין בתכלית השלמות. It's not completely done. וקוראים לזה בשם התחלתא דגאולה, and they call this the beginning of the redemption. ויש ציונים דתיים שדורשים דרשות של דופי, and there are those religious Zionists which explain that this worthless permission, המביאים ראיות, who bring proofs, midrashei razal, from the teachings of the sages, she'atchalta geula tihyeh lifnei biat hamashiach, that the beginning of the redemption will be before the coming of the Messiah. Umashiach yif'ol shetihyeh geula shlema, and that the Messiah will make it so that there will be a complete redemption. The ayan lakaman saif chafhei, see below in section 25, shekol harayot shelahem hem rayot shel hevel, that all of these proofs that they bring, they are proofs of vanity. Ki mefurash beposkim shelifnei biat hamashiach lo tihyeh shum geula klal, that before the coming of the Messiah, that it is clearly said in the decisors of the law, that before the coming of the Messiah, there cannot be any redemption whatsoever. Gam lo atchalta de geula, and this includes even a beginning of the redemption. V'nimtza mizeh, and it is seen from this. The hamilchama shel gedolei Israel neged rayon hatzionot, and that the war which the great sages of Israel fought against this idea of Zionism, the lekechat cherut vegeula lifnei biat hamashiach, of taking liberty and redemption before the coming of the Messiah. Eina mitzad hametziut shel hamedina, it doesn't come from the actual facts of the government. Kamo shehi bepoel, as we see how it is. Shaharei bepoel ein ba be'emet shum inyan shel geula v'cherut klal, that we see that in actual fact there's there's no bit of truth to this idea that it is redemption or liberty at all. Gam la ba'ofen shel atchalta, not even a beginning of ki im mitzad harayon shebezeh. But it's because of the idea of it. Ma shehatzionim hachnisu bezeh rayon shel cherut vegeula, in that they include in this this idea of cherut, of liberty and free and salvation. Shelachen korim hazeh b'shem atzmaut kanal, because they call it with this idea of independence, like we said. The rayon zeh she'afshar lihyot cherut vegeula lifnei biat hamashiach. This idea that it's possible that there should be there should be liberty and redemption before the coming of the Messiah. Hu bevadai kavira. It is clearly heresy. Kavar bi'arnu la'ayil, and we already explained earlier in section 15. The keshatayan heitev, that when you look deeply into B'ma shekatuv b'sefer Yoel Moshe, in the what is written in the book Yoel Moshe, Ma'amar shalosh shavuot siman pe gimel, in the section on the 3 oaths, chapter 83, the hagam she'ein ba b'hamedina geula v'cherut klal, that he says, even though this Medina, this state, does not have any sort of redemption or liberty at all. Mikol makom yesh ba isur da ma'aseh kefira. There is within it the action of doing something which is related to heresy. Mipnei shehi asiyat sa'adim lebatel gezerat hagalut, because it is doing steps in order to undo the God's edict of exile. Timsa mefurash kedivrenu sheha'isur dema'aseh kefira. You will see that clearly, that like we explained, that the prohibition of doing something which is a heretical act, shebahamedina eino mitzad hamedina atzma. It's not because of the state itself. The mikeivan she'ein ba geula v'cherut klal, since this state is not in any way redemption or liberty at all. Harei ein shayach lomar sheyesh bezeh isur kefira delekichat geula. Therefore, what has actually happened itself doesn't have that transgression of heresy, of trying to snatch up the redemption. But rather, it's simply from this thought and this intention of the Zionists. Because they imagine that this establishing of the state is something which is a step towards undoing the Gezerat ha-Medina ha-Galut, the edict of exile. Haga'at Hama'atik, this is a note of the person who is writing. V'tzarch biur al pi harambam halchot machim, and need to look regarding what the Maimonides says in the Mishnah Torah, the laws of kings. Perek Yud Aleph Halacha Daled, chapter 11, halacha 4. Im tosefet milui girsa hachoser b'dfusim mepa'at hatzenzura, including the complete words which are not in those prints which were under the censors. Im ya'amod melech b'beit David hogeh b'torah v'osek b'mitzvot k'David aviv. If a king will arise from the house of David, who meditates upon the Torah and busies himself with the commandments, like David his father, v'chulu, v'ilachem milchamot Hashem, and he will wage the wars of God. Harei zeh b'chezkat shehu Mashiach, that he is presumed to be the Messiah. Im asa v'hitzliach, he did it and he was successful, b'chulu, harei zeh Mashiach b'vadai, then he will clearly be the actual Messiah. Ve'im lo hitzliach, and if he was not successful, ad ko, so far, o neherag, he was dead, he was killed, b'yadua she'eino zeh she'evticha alav Torah, that he is clearly not what the Torah has guaranteed to us. V'harei hu k'chol malchei David Beit David hashlamim v'hakasherim shemetu, that he is like all of the kings from the house of David who were kasher, who were whole and that died. V'tzarich iyun gadol im eino zeh hamashiach she'evticha alav Torah. If he is not the Messiah that the Torah has assured us of, harei avar al hashvuot shelo ya'alu b'choma, that he has gone against the oaths that they will not arise to the land of Israel as a wall, as a group. V'shelo yimradu be'umot, and they will not rebel against the nations. V'heich nimna bein malchei Beit David hashlamim ve'kesherim. How could he be included among the kings of the house of David, which are holy and righteous? Does he actually answer that question? He doesn't answer that question himself. If I dare answer v'tzarich birur, to say that since such a person actually believed that he was doing it through that he was b'chezkat Mashiach, he wouldn't be considered a heretic. But that's if they actually believed in the coming of the Messiah, unlike other people. Okay, I am going to end the stream. Good night. God bless. To be continued in part 5.